Hi, welcome to a recommended daily dose. I'm Steffi, the Superfood Goddess.
Did you come up with that name yourself, or because
I
he's the brown god,
did.
he's the brown goddess. If you haven't,
I am the brown goddess, and actually Clinton's the black queen. So it's just coincidence.
now Queen is
Oh,
offensive in some states.
oh man, I gotta re-record that now. Okay.
Not to me, not to me.
We'll say black queen, black Rani. Rani is queen in Hindi, in the language of India. But
Awesome, awesome.
why don't we'll
I,
get
I
started. Go.
just I just want to warn you guys that I just had lunch, so I have a gas pocket. So if I have to mute you guys for any reason, and
Oh
you're
man,
gonna tell me about my
Absolutely.
my diet. So
his
we're
diet's horrendous. His diet's horrendous. Just so you know. So
we're pleased to have the superfood goddess here. She is a health and wellness coach whose motto is eat well and feel well. She teaches healthy plant-based recipes. My favorite is the jackfruit pulled barbecue tacos. Haven't tried it
Mm.
yet, but it looks great. And she also gives amazing advice on wellness and travel. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So we have a lot to get into. We want to talk about your journey, what a health coach does, things like that. So has this always been your passion, or how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I started about 13 years ago, and honestly, it was a little bit by accident. I was already doing some different diet research. I was looking into, paleo, Atkins. I was looking into organic foods, and right around that time, my brother got diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And so, just like any other emergency situation, you start searching the internet, you start talking to professionals and trying to figure out what to do. And on my journey, I found out about the plant-based diet. And this was 13 years ago before it
Wow.
was, nowadays I feel like it's a bigger thing.
Trendy. It
Um,
was just before it was trendy, basically.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Definitely has become trendy. Which,
Mm.
in my mind, I'm like, okay,
That's
fine. If
okay.
that's what gets
Yeah.
you there, fine.
Right.
But so yeah, so this book fell into my hand, and it made sense to me that the effects of food could have effects on your body, on your organs, on your mood and how you feel. And since my brother was dealing with a mood disorder, we thought, well, let's do a 3-month challenge. So mom and I, we stopped drinking. Same thing with my brother. We stopped drinking. We started incorporating plant-based foods. I mean, we went cold turkey. It was challenge on. And we were searching, what do we eat? Beans, rice. We were looking for complete proteins. We were looking for all the nutrients that we could add into our diet because we had heard from so many people that the vegan diet wasn't healthy. And
Right.
back in the day, I think there probably were some people that did it wrong, and I think even today sometimes people do it wrong. It really, you really have to be conscious about what you're putting into your body. I always tell people eat the rainbow. As long as you're eating the rainbow, as long as you're eating a diverse amount of fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and whole grains, you should be good. But you still need to be, making sure that you're getting the proper amounts of micro and macro nutrients.
Now,
So we
was
did
your
that for
family
three
on
months.
board? Was your family on
So,
board initially, or?
yeah, actually, I think because we were in such an emergency state, we were ready to do anything.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays that's often how it goes too. All of a sudden we get a disease or we figure something out, and it's like, what do? We have to incorporate something to make this better. So yeah, we were on board. I was really proud of all three of us. We did an amazing job, and after 3 months, I felt amazing. My
Right.
energy levels were better. My skin was glowing. I had a new sense of life within me. And so for me personally, I didn't feel like I wanted to go back to how I was feeling, because I'll take you kind of a
Mm.
backstory before that. I was sick my whole life. I was on antibiotics a lot. I had bronchitis probably 7, 8 months out of the year.
Wow.
I had earaches. I always had a stuffy nose. And I can't believe that someone didn't say, maybe it's something in your diet. Maybe
Right.
it's the dairy in your diet, just something. Nowadays, I realize, I mean, I haven't been sick in 13 years. I have not had, I don't know what cold and flu season is. It doesn't, I don't take part in it. I eat healthy enough that I feel like my immune system is strong and it is consistently fighting for me.
So Stephanie, I want to interrupt 1 second. So this is very fascinating to me. So, obviously we're both
Your skin is
physicians,
glowing, by the way.
and I am glowing. So,
Yeah.
obviously, you know where this is headed. But we know now in medicine, especially in infectious disease, there's this idea of this gut-brain axis, right? So it's not just your DNA; it's how your DNA interacts with your bacteria that lives within you. We call it the microbiome. So, and we know that things like antibiotics, diet, lifestyle, environment affects the kind of bacteria in your body. And that can then subsequently affect how your DNA interacts, how it functions. That's called the microbiome. And we know there's a relationship with depression, anxiety. There's even being looked at things like ADHD and other called central nervous system issues with diet. So really, I think a lot of people will say in the beginning this was trendy or whatever you want to call it. But in medicine, we always look at the evidence, and there's a lot of study right now looking at this idea of the microbiome, how our DNA interacts with bacteria. And bacteria, of course, are influenced by what we eat. So if we eat odd things, we take a lot of antibiotics, even though I'm an infectious disease doctor and I prescribe them and they're life-saving, we know it can alter the flora, that is the bacteria inside you. And that whole idea of the gut-brain axis, it's actually an area of research that we're looking at to kind of explain what I think you're going to continue telling us about, was how diet can influence how you feel. So we know it influences your physical well-being, but the mental well-being is definitely an area that's now being looked at. And that whole idea of the gut-brain axis, that connection is really what might explain it. So I want to ask, you went plant-based cold turkey. Were you eating meat beforehand? Because I'm kind of along that journey because of my culture, and I don't eat beef and I've never eaten pork, but I'm now a pescatarian, so I'm not quite there yet. But did you give up just cold turkey eating, and before this you were eating all types of meat?
So that's actually a great question. Thank you. I was eating chicken, fish, and turkey. Steak and red meat were more of a delicacy. It was every once in a while, if I was out with friends and maybe someone else ordered a steak, then I would order a steak too, or I'd have a couple bites of theirs. Red meat wasn't huge in my family, I think because my mom grew up very poor and they lived next door to a butcher who gave them all the scraps of meat. So the red meat just she just didn't like it. So that was something that wasn't really in our diet much, but I did eat kind of the normal healthy American diet, 2% milk, lean fish, lean turkey and chicken. So I was incorporating meat and dairy, and let me tell you, I thought life was over when I had to get rid of dairy and cheese and yogurt.
Why do you think people struggle so much with that? I did a vegan diet for about, I think, probably 8
Well, can you
weeks.
give your background, Clinton? Because just let her know that you are a big Popeyes fried chicken guy. So just let her know where you're coming from here.
I actually had a burger for
Well,
lunch. I feel guilty now
don't be
talking to you
bashful. Don't
about
be
it.
bashful.
But for me, I agree. I felt really good on that diet. You feel like it's hard to explain, but you feel like you're lighter and you're not inundated with heavy toxic food.
You're not
But then
gassy.
you get these cravings. So and I think as doctors we struggle with trying to, you know, communicate to patients that food is medicine, that what you put into your body is important. Did you find that challenge? And not for yourself, it may be for yourself, but now that you do health coaching, do you find that challenging for your patients?
Yeah, I think one of the things, I mean, yeah, there are cravings, and those are undeniable. And sometimes what we're not taught is that sometimes you have a craving for something and it's a nutrient your body needs, like maybe
Right,
it is iron or maybe it is protein. And because we're so used to eating meat and dairy, we
right.
go for those items that, we think immediately, oh, I need iron, I want a burger or I want a steak.
That's a good point because
Instead of,
bacon, I think people's fascination is probably the salt of bacon, not necessarily probably the texture too. But that's a good point. I never thought of it like that. It's, your body's telling you need something that you have no idea what the alternatives are. So sorry about that.
yeah,
Just
no, I
thinking
mean,
about bacon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You think
bacon,
about
I mean,
bacon,
they've
but
got
unhealthy
they have
amounts,
bacon
I
ice
think.
cream now. They have bacon
Ooh.
candy. Like
They
it's
have
taken over the
bacon beer
world.
actually, but I've never had bacon, so but apparently it's a thing. But um, can I just ask you, why is so I get plant-based, and we're gonna have, I want you to educate us much more about that. But if you could just explain, like for instance, I'm kind of stuck. I gave up chicken and turkey and no problem, but why is dairy? I have some vegan friends, and apparently dairy is like enemy number one, or meat's enemy number one, dairy is enemy number two. And what is it about dairy that is also worth giving up? I mean, I have some vegan friends that tell us like, look, we're the only animal that eats another animal's or drinks another animal's milk. Is that what it is? Is it more of a environmental issue? Is it a moral issue, or why is dairy, according to a lot of people, not necessarily so needed by us? Where I grew up thinking like milk, 3 glasses of milk a day is how I'm gonna get taller and healthier. Like, that's I think hard for a lot of people. A lot of people might be able to give up meat. But if you tell me living in Jersey to give up pizza, it's really impossible. So
Yeah, and I get that too. I mean, because again,
sure.
that's something that we've been used to. It's very hard. I personally think it's hard to unlearn things. And if you grew up your entire life thinking that you needed these items, it's hard to kind of rewire your brain. And what I will say with dairy, it's mucus forming. So
Mhm.
first of all, that's for me, it was a health thing at first. There's three ways that you go into the vegan or plant-based diet. It's either health, environment, or for the animals. And I
Yeah.
understand all of them. I went into it for health. And what kept me accountable down the line, aside from just feeling really great and also
Right.
realizing I wasn't getting sick anymore, I started facing the truth of what happens behind the scenes.
Right.
And, I'm not saying that every single animal is not taken care of, but you just don't know. And I know humans, and I've met good humans and I've met bad humans, and so you just don't know what's going on behind there. And there are horror stories, I'm sure you've seen the videos of
Yes.
the mistreatment of animals. And they're living beings just like us. And so that was something that, as I started learning that truth, that's what kept me strong in what I was doing. Because yeah, for the first year or two, I kind of struggled, and I would think, well, do I have to have this label, and do I have to stop eating my raw sushi? Oh my gosh, I loved sushi and I
Right.
loved my dairy, and like I didn't want to get rid of that. It's personal. And
Right.
and a lot of times when I talk to people about it, people get offended when even just hearing that I'm vegan or plant-based. And I say, listen, if I'm not offended by you, please don't be offended by me. If anything, like I'm not going to sit here and preach about veganism if that's offensive to you. But if you have questions, I'd be so happy to enlighten you, or to let you know
Sure.
the information and research that I found out.
No, I appreciate you breaking that down. That's actually great because I find that a lot of people think, like you said, the health benefits, but talking about environmental concerns or moral concerns with animals. I mean, there's a documentary, Food Incorporated. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
saw. It kind of takes you behind processing plants and even how calves are separated from their mothers, so the mothers can produce milk, and it can be really heart-wrenching to watch. So that's an interesting way. But you're right. You bring up the idea. I feel like a lot of people think that vegans are can be preachy, and then you're saying no, to each their own. You're just trying to educate about the benefits. But do you find that some people sometimes are taken back or become defensive when you were talking to them about veganism and the benefits of such?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're talking to them about their beloved steak that
Sure.
they're not ready to get rid
Or the
of,
burger,
or their
yeah.
ranch yeah, their burgers or their ranch salad. Like, and I get it. I 100% get it. We have that attachment, and even to go a little dive a little deeper, the
Sure.
casein that's in the milk, in the milk protein, it's very addictive. It hits that
Mhm.
same receptor that sugar and cocaine hit, in the pleasure center of our brain. So it's like it keeps bringing you back for more, kind of subconsciously. You don't even know that you're addicted to this substance.
When you say mucus producing, so you're talking about in terms of gastrointestinal illness, like bloating.
Oh
That's
yeah.
interesting? Because I know a lot of people say they feel lighter when they give up dairy, and I wonder if that's because just milk has obviously sugars, and those get fermented in the body, and that produces off gas. But That's interesting. I mean, I never, as a physician, we're never really taught these things. Nutrition is something that is severely lacking in med school. So the idea of mucus production is interesting.
Explains your gas.
I'm still stuck in that
Can I-
cheese. I've tried vegan cheese and I'm trying to switch out of it, but I will not lie to you. That's kind of where I'm stuck. Giving up meat, no problem. I'm still eating sushi and fish. Clinton, I'm trying to get on board. Maybe you can help us. Because I know you are a coach also, right? Health coach. Can you tell us a little bit about that, like what that means and what that entails?
Yeah. So, just like I started 13 years ago, which there were way less options back then.
Sure.
But I know how hard it was. I know that the transition was hard. People are asking you why, and they're kind of grilling you about it. You're trying to figure out what to eat. You at first I was eating kind of the same 3 things because that's what I knew. And then I, every week or every day I would incorporate one more thing. And so I don't want someone to have to do that alone. I know what it's
Sure.
like to struggle. And, and that's even just like outside of my diet, like coming from childhood and coming from past traumas. I understand what that's like and flailing, it doesn't feel good. And so I want to be able to I meet people where they're at. I don't require them to be vegan or plant-based, but I do help them incorporate more plants and, and getting to more whole foods too. Because I know that there's the vegan cheeses. I know there's the vegan meats. And I do.
Oh, I would love for you to comment on your thoughts on, because we go to Bear Burger a lot. I flip over the menu to the vegan side, and I get the Beyond Burgers and Impossible Meat. But then there's some people who say that's not really, it's too much salt, etc. I mean, any thoughts on those pseudo meats? I buy that stuff at Whole Foods. I mean, is it worth using? Is it not worth using?
Yeah, so I call them transitional foods. They're there because it satisfies a craving. It satisfies that meat or dairy want because there's still that, that meaty texture or that ooey gooey cheesiness that you like. But at the end of the day, they are made with oils and preservatives and additives and salts and sugar. So
processed foods,
processed food. So I mean, even me personally, I mean, I'll take someone from eating a burger to eating these transitional foods to eating whole foods. That's really where I'm trying to get people is whole food. You want to eat the apple.
Right.
Okay.
Apple right off the tree. The berry
not the
off
applesauce,
the plant.
Exactly.
Unless you make
not
your
apple
own
brand
applesauce.
What 40-year-old eats applesauce? Anyway, I want to.
I know you drinking apple. You were having apple brandy last time I saw you. We were out on a Friday night.
This is true. I want to get back to the health coaching because I think it's an interesting point you made about individual and groups. Because when I was doing the vegan diet, I felt kind of isolated, right? So my family, they eat meat, and it was just me. So you find that that's an easier transition to incorporate it amongst a group of people.
Right.
Yeah. And I do group coaching and I do one-on-one coaching. One-on-one is definitely more intimate. We can spend more time together. We have a meeting once a week together where we talk about what's going on, kind of like you would go see a therapist or a doctor. Like we just talk, we see what triggers are, we see where the roadblocks are and how we can get past them.
Right.
In a group, it's a nice group setting. It's a smaller cost because, there's more people. It's not as intimate, but it's still intimate because there's people there that are going through the same things as the others. And so when one person shares their story, someone else is going to get something out of it too. And so what I teach for some part of it, and then I allow Q&A. I let us to talk and just, kind of how we are now, just asking questions.
Right.
What do you eat when you go out? Different recipes, that kind of stuff.
And it has that accountability factor too, right? So everyone's checking in on everyone else. So I think we missed that in individual diets. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Are you ever getting referrals from physicians? Because there's a whole aspect of medicine. I mean, I'm infectious disease. Clinton is a nephrologist, so we don't necessarily get involved with this, but although we try in the outpatient setting. But there's a whole aspect of medicine called functional medicine. It's kind of like lifestyle medicine. It's a growing trend. I won't say trend. That makes it sound like it's just a fad, but it's a growing area of medicine, quite frankly, with its own fellowships, education, certification. So are you finding people coming out to you or reaching out to you, perhaps they maybe have seen their physician and now, they're saying they've been referred? Like how do people find you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I wonder if physicians are now utilizing either yourself or people with similar backgrounds and training and passions. This is kind of a new burgeoning area of medicine.
Absolutely. Yes. There are physicians that are referring out to health coaches. I currently, I'm not in contact or with someone that's sending me referrals. That's actually my next step. That is what I'd like to do, because I do realize, I mean, you guys have learned information, so I understand to a certain extent why maybe nutrition hasn't always been, the biggest learning point for you guys, because you're thinking about, the brain, about the gut, about all the organs in the body. It's a lot. I mean, even just me learning about nutrition, there's so much information. So that's definitely an avenue that people can take. I haven't done that yet, but I'm on Instagram. I have a website and a blog where I do post healthy recipes, and people can find me on there and see my story. And then, word of mouth. I get, my mom's a hairdresser, so she talks to a lot of people, and so people, whether they're the one sitting in her chair or it's a family member, somehow it gets back to me, and so that's kind of how I've been doing it recently.
Can your mom help him out? Look at his locks, his golden locks.
Obviously, I have very strong jawline and nice features.
Is that a weave?
The hair is kind of wasted on Clinton, as you can see. He needs more help. It's actually on purpose. I could have a big, Indian fro, no problem. But it's just I keep my hair short on purpose. Can you share with us just I know people will, and you have to tell us again where specifically they can find you on Instagram and other social media. But just an example perfect example. My wife and my son, they do eat meat. They eat chicken and turkey, and we don't eat red meat. But so sometimes if I want to make something very simple for myself, whole plant-based, can you just give me one example of something easy that can be done, especially during the week, right? That would still fulfill cravings, that would have enough nutrients, that I wouldn't be snacking, and what happens is a lot of times I eat a bowl of cereal after having a salad for dinner, which I think defeats the purpose. So can you just give us maybe an example of one example of a recipe you might recommend?
Gosh.
All the milk.
Yes, all the milk.
All the collard greens.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of you in the refrigerator looking for pouring a bowl of cereal with no milk. You put some water on it.
You know what? That's actually a scene from our favorite movie, I believe.
She knows.
I know she knows. I know. We always try to throw a Friday reference or a Coming to America reference.
I want some of those big feet. Anyway.
And then my dog goes, yeah. All right, no, sorry, keep going.
I think that one of the first recipes that I taught myself was tacos. It's something familiar to us. We all, I think most people like tacos. Sorry for those who don't. But they can be so versatile, and you can use corn or flour tortillas. I myself am gluten-free, so I do organic corn.
I love corn.
Yeah.
Nice flavor.
And they get nice and crispy. Thanks. And so what I love to do is I'll spread a little bit of hummus on the taco shell, and then I'll saute up some of my favorite veggies. For example, fajita veggies, red bell pepper, some onions, some mushroom, and then I'll add some black beans. I'll saute all that up. I'll do a little Cajun seasoning or taco seasoning. Then I'll put a little bit of cabbage on top of that hummus. Throw the veggies on top it with some avocado and salsa. If you want to, I mean, you can leave it just like that, because I think the hummus creates a nice creaminess. If you need a cheese substitute, there are so many different brands of cheeses, and they all taste differently. So if you try one and you don't like it, I always urge people, try a different brand. There's different ingredients in all of them. Or you could make your own cashew cheese sauce. And again, that's how I eat. But when I'm trying to tell people, to make it a little bit easier, if you want like the same exact thing, you can go grab the vegan cheese. Otherwise, cashew cheese sauce is awesome too. You soak some cashews, you add a little bit of lemon and some salt, a little bit of nutritional yeast, which has a cheesy flavor and also boasts some nutrients and B12. And yeah, I mean, you've got a taco plate. You can serve that with rice and some more beans if you want, or a salad.
So, and what kind of dressings are allowed on the salad? So, obviously ranch is out, but can you put? And so I'm guessing oil and vinegar you don't want to use as well. So, what could we utilize on the salad?
Why can't you use oil and
Yeah,
vinegar?
you can use oil and vinegar.
I'm thinking she's gonna say. I'm guessing, but I'll let her say. I'm guessing she's gonna say that oil is not allowed. No.
No.
You know, it I've
Avocado
gone
oil.
back and forth. Yeah, I mean avocado oil,
Baby
olive
oil.
oil. Ooh, baby oil would be
Hey,
interesting.
Oh, now we're going a different direction here. I see.
Oil in moderation. And
Sure.
so if I know, I think that's something that is good to be touched upon. We do have a lot of oil in our diet, and we definitely overuse it.
yeah.
Hmm.
If you want to use a little oil on your salad, go right ahead. But I mean, a little oil is like a tablespoon, not even. Like if you could keep it to a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, that's great, because again, you're still getting oils in other meals, other snacks that you're having throughout the day. I love doing. I'll make like a balsamic. I'll add a little bit of vinegar, a touch of oil, or if I'm doing it without oil, I'll throw in a couple cashews and mix that in a blender. A little bit of lemon and some herbs,
Right.
and voila. You can even use mustard to make it a little bit. If you want to go like a mustard route, you can make that a little creamy with a little bit of really any kind of vinegar. You can use white vinegar, you can use balsamic vinegar.
Now you're getting
I
fancy.
even use
See.
lemons and limes.
So I think we have two last questions we want to ask you. One is, so let's say it's a Friday night, you're making this lovely taco. Is a little wine or cocktail or beer allowed? And is there, and then is that allowed? And then, so first on that, and then going into that, because we've heard reports during the quarantine of people drinking more. Just want to quickly your thoughts on how people have changed their diet, either for the better or for the worse, during the COVID-19 quarantine.
Yeah. So I mean, sure, alcohol technically, you could call it a poison, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah. But I do understand that we are human. This is something again that's been part of our daily life for however long. If you're not abusing it, if it's in moderation, life is about balance. And
Right.
I don't want anyone to feel restricted. I do know that, alcohol changes your gut flora, which again,
Right.
having the healthiest, cleanest gut is going to help you have the healthiest, cleanest mind. So it will change your gut flora a little, but having a glass while you're cooking, they do say that some of the healthiest people, they talk about Greece in the Mediterranean diet.
Right.
These people are eating tons of plants. There is a little bit of fish involved, very little dairy, but it's plants, it's beans. They do incorporate wine. They're happy, they're jolly. There's a
Right.
there's a different mindset, and so
Sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of balance. With beer, it does have gluten in it, so I don't drink that, and I often get bloated from it. And so
Right.
I do tell people, you this healthy diet and nurturing your body is separate to each and every body. I'm different than you. I mean, yes, plants all around are great for us, but
Sure.
there's different foods that we're going to be allergic to. There's different things we're going to have sensitivity to. I mean, I have to make sure I chew my kale really well. Otherwise, even raw kale, I mean, that'll bloat me a little bit. From cruciferous vegetables can make that happen in your body. So it's understanding your body and knowing what works. So if you know that you're fine with beer, have a beer. If
Have to.
wine works for you and it's not going to keep you up, or yeah, it's about balance. It's
In
just
moderation,
monitoring
of course.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm
And
sure
just
that you probably, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just your passion is so palpable. I wish we could just, I hope that you continue to share it with everyone. And, where
right.
can people find you? Do you have a website or a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I'm the Superfood Goddess all across the board. So you can find me on Instagram as the Superfood Goddess, thesuperfoodgoddess.com.
As her hair
I
blows in
do
the
have a
wind,
YouTube
look at
channel.
it.
Yes. I do have a YouTube channel, but I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have a film crew, so my videos aren't like top quality. I just throw things on there, when I
Sure.
have time. It's not like a weekly thing that I do, but you can find
Right.
some interviews on there and like little things like that. But mainly Instagram and my website. and the superfoodgoddess@gmail.com. That's, it's as simple as that to get a hold of me on email. I know I was put on earth to serve. I want to help people, and I will do that till the day I'm not here on earth. I just don't want anyone to have to suffer, feel isolated, or feel down. And especially during this time in COVID, we need to keep our accountability up, our health up, our immune system up, and really taking care of ourselves and one another and supporting one another.
Well said. It's definitely that positivity is so needed in general, certainly during this COVID-19 time. We want to thank Stephanie B., the Superfood Goddess, for joining us today. This has been incredible. And like Clinton said, your passion is palpable. Please keep us informed. And, we want to everyone to check her out on social media. And, this is really for the betterment of people's lives. And, Clinton and I both are trying to better people's health, obviously, from a medical point of view. But this is incredibly important.
I have an idea. Won't I challenge you to go vegan for a month?
For me?
And we'll have the Superfood Goddess moderate it, and we'll check in with her.
I will definitely need.
Are you dropping out of the debate?
As
you
a
dropping
coach,
out?
I'll need individual coaching for sure, because I
I
like my people.
That's a no.
That's where I come with. But I tell you what, I am your co-host, Dr. Suraj Saggar, with my co-host, Dr. Clinton Coleman, aka the Kidney Goddess. I think that could be a new name or new tagline. But until next time, we want everyone to be healthy, be safe, and be well. Thanks for listening.